to Simpler. We are three pastors, husbands, and fathers on a journey to make life simpler by holding Jesus as the core for every belief and practice. This journey has shaped us to be more like Christ, freed us from the shame of failure, and encouraged us to a deeper love of our Lord and God. We invite you to join us in the discussions that have shaped and continue to shape our lives.
Somebody asked about getting you to the backyard to do the backyard workout. And I was like, no. I was like, especially right now with the heat.
Can't do it.
And I was like, he has such heat sensitivity because he had that heat stroke or whatever it was a few years ago. And then I was like, also, we all get dizzy and lightheaded. And I was like, that would kill Micah. We would look over and he'd just be collapsed on the dirt.
I am back on my mountain bike though.
Okay, I saw you putting one up for sale. Okay.
So last year, Aiden thought he was going to start riding with me. So I found another used one. It's like the same one I have, just a year newer.
Gotcha.
So I upgraded that one, like got it all fixed up. So I'm riding that one now, but Aiden's not going to ride anymore.
Yeah.
I'm back into golf, so I want to get some. I haven't. My golf irons I bought when Aiden was like 2.
Yeah.
So they don't even make them anymore. So I'm selling that bike.
Yeah.
To get what I'm doing is if the bike sells soon, I'm going to invest it.
There you go.
Yeah,
and then
right.
Try to buy multiple sets of
Yeah,
irons.
absolutely.
That's my plan.
Well, it's a good plan. I sold a painting the other day, and
You should do more of those.
I know. I should sell more paintings.
No,
just
so
the one.
That particular style.
Yeah, it went well. Well, I was
the forest. The fire?
Yeah. So, because I don't know if I painted the underpainting black. Paint's great, and then I just added the color. So I didn't actually paint.
Yeah, it
the
looks
trees.
super cool.
It was neat.
Yeah.
Did you see it in the church yesterday?
I didn't know.
Yeah, it was just there for a little bit.
Where was it?
Yeah, it was hanging in the foyer.
Okay.
But it was Sonny bought it.
Nice.
Really?
Yeah, and so I was carrying it out to the car for him after the first service, and another lady was there, and she goes, "Wait, you sell your stuff?" and I'm like, "Yeah," and she goes, "How much is the lamb in there?" I was like, "Well, the lamb's already sold. It was bought and then given back to the church," and I was like, "But I can do another one." She goes, "Would you?" And I was like, "Yeah." So I need to sell.
I can almost guarantee that you're gonna have the lion we decide on.
Mm-hmm.
People are gonna want that one too.
Oh yeah,
because
I'll have to.
It was the same thing with the gorilla.
I know.
I'm surprised you haven't done another gorilla.
I have one on deck.
Okay.
I found a photo the other day. So before September's out,
everybody walks in my house and they're like, "Oh my gosh!"
And I haven't done one postured like yours since then.
Okay,
but I have another one I'm doing just like that,
cool.
Similar.
When I'm able to have my own space, I want it someday, like an actual office at my property on the river with lots of land.
Nice.
Yeah.
The dream. I want that. I'm gonna have to get another one because I want that over my desk, like I originally thought. I want that gorilla, as I'm sitting at the desk. I want that gorilla right there. Boom.
Boom.
Just like couples retreat. Boom.
Boom. We're not talking about gorillas today, Ryan.
No, we're not.
What are we talking about, man?
Well, I was posed a question recently. It's been a few months, I guess, now, but the question was, can I be a Christian and hate God?
No. All right. See you guys next week.
Thank you, everybody. The air conditioner.
What could be simpler than that?
Yeah. The air conditioner's not working, and we're done. Yes. Oh man, yeah.
I'm surprised I have pants on right now.
Right?
It's like those. It's like It's like those guys who got caught in their business stuff during COVID. They didn't have any their boxers on and had a business shirt on.
Or the guy that has to stand up and grab something.
Yeah,
and oh wait, sorry,
I forgot.
Oh man. You just reminded me of a dream that I had the other night, but it doesn't matter. Frequently, I have dreams that I'm in public with nothing but my underwear on still.
Okay.
I have those stressful dreams all the time.
That's better than my public dreams. I always have to poop really bad. The only toilets that's available is in the middle of the crowd.
It's just randomly there in the crowd.
And then I wake up and I got to, in my sleep, I got
there was a guy who was he printed out fake IKEA advertisements and paperwork and stuff, and he took it to an IKEA and he said, this toilet is for public use. Feel free to relieve yourself as if you're in your own apartment. Put those up around IKEA. Yeah, no.
I saw a guy print out little stickers because most of the bathrooms now, the toilets have the sensor, so when you stand up it flushes.
Yeah.
And it put They put little stickers on all of those things.
The cameras.
Yeah. Please don't tamper with the cameras. You know? Okay, but we're not talking
about toilets today.
Whoa,
Ryan, what are we talking about?
I derailed that.
Echoey?
Well, it just like one of the ears went out and it like your voice circled around my head. It went like, it was strange.
Yeah.
So can a Christian hate God? Mike has already said the answer. No. There are people, and
it's based on the definition of hate.
Well,
I would say,
I would argue based on the definition of Christian too.
Well, no, I was saying like I think depending on what someone means by hate, the answer is no,
right?
But I kind of think a lot of times when people have asked that question to you in the past, what they don't mean is hate.
Yes, sure. I would agree with that. Yeah. So, the question that was posed to me is like, man, everything in my life seems to be going wrong. Everything's difficult in my life. I'm really frustrated right now. And I just kind of hate God that he's letting all these things happen to me. And I kind of pushed, I was like, okay, so let's talk through that because I do understand, we talked about this a little bit last week, but I do understand the idea of you have a lot going on in your life. It's really hard right now. It's difficult. And I do understand a little bit where you're like, what's going on? Mm-hmm. But like Job, I don't think Job's a good example. So there's a couple of, there's a couple of different things on Job, but Job, we look at chapter 1, we look at chapter 2, where it says he didn't curse God with his mouth. He didn't charge God with fault. But then 7 days later, his friends show up and they sit with him for 7 days, and then they begin to have this conversation. And then he does charge God with fault. And we know that because in chapter 38, God rebukes him. Mm-hmm. In chapter 40, God rebukes him. And in chapter 40 of Job, God says, will you really condemn me to justify yourself? Mm-hmm. So like there's this sense in which like Job is condemning what God is allowing in his life so that Job can be justified as a righteous man. And so, but I also wouldn't, the very beginning of the book, it says, have you considered my servant Job? There's no one righteous like him on the earth. And I think Christians read that and go, see, Job was a Christian. I don't think Job was a Christian until chapter 42, where he says, I've heard about you with the ear, but now I've seen you with the eye. Yeah. The Bible doesn't use righteous to just mean saved. There's Paul says of himself in Philippians 3, I was righteous according to the law. Yeah. It could be saying of Job that according to the people on the earth, he was a righteous man. He was a good man. He was a just man. James, the brother of Jesus, historically, canonically, is called James the Just or James the Righteous. Mm-hmm. And he was called that by believers and non-believers alike because it wasn't about his salvation. It was about his character, right? Mm-hmm. So biblically and culturally, there's a lot of ways that righteous...
I think as a separate podcast episode.
Yeah.
You're setting that as a premise for how people use Job.
Yeah.
I have a lot of thoughts on that, which I think would be an interesting conversation.
It'd be fun.
It'd
be fun.
Yeah. I don't want to open that can now.
Okay. So what people will do though is they'll say, see, Job, he was mad at God. And look at how mad he was. And so they use him as a premise.
Mad or hate.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But.
So then again, it's a cultural definition of mad.
Right.
Yeah.
Like people tell me all the time I'm mad.
Yeah.
Why are you mad at that? I'm not mad at that person. It's because you're uncomfortable with confrontation. You think, so you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Is like, I think, all right, here's the problem with Ryan Dalgliesh in these conversations is you're going to take them, not problem, but like you're
Go ahead,
no, it could be problematic in the conversation. They say, I hate God.
Take it as hate.
Yeah. Which to be fair, they said they hate God. They deserve that, right?
You're always telling me like what people say matters.
It does matter, right? But you're the one doing counseling. I'm not. That's why they don't counsel with me. Cause I'm like, you said you hated God. You're stupid. What do we have to talk about? But I'm not convinced. Okay, let's take hate out. I'm mad at God. I think what they're saying is like I feel this some kind of however you want to define it, a word. There's an attention I feel towards God right now. I am not comfortable with the situation that He's allowed me to be in or put me in, one of those two things, right? That could be the psalmist. God, why are you allowing all my enemies to prosper? Like that could be that kind of thing. The difference is though how we say this all the time, how the psalmists usually end up. But there's
almost
always
every
the
time.
but. That's my struggle. I don't actually struggle with the beginning part because we could redefine the words, right?
Yeah.
I'm mad at God. What do you mean mad at God? I hate God. Well, you can't hate God, but if you're saying that word, like what is it that you're actually trying to say? That's what I mean by there's a problem with how you, and counseling is hard because you're going to have to take them at what they say instead of being able to.
Well, you just drill down,
you got to
keep
dig
asking
in,
the
which is why you're
questions.
asking questions, right? My struggle is not the comment. My struggle is if that's where you're left. If you're at the spot where you never move from whatever,
I hate God, I'm
mad at God. It doesn't take a psalmist long to go, but
I actually
I actually think it's the same conversation.
Well, I think you said something. Go ahead. Sorry.
I don't think this is a psalmist writing a song over months and months and months.
Right.
Yeah.
I think this is the thought in their head as they write this song. Here's been my struggle.
Yep.
God, why do you let these things happen? Why do you let these evil people prosper?
Yeah.
But you're my rock and my fortress and my deliverer.
Yeah, to your point, they're not pissed at God for 6 months and then go, oh, but you know what? And then write about how they were pissed, but it's okay. You know?
I actually think it is the recognition of who God is. You're my rock, my fortress, your deliverer, you're my salvation. It's the recognition of God that allows them to express openly the emotion that they're feeling. That is a completely different conversation than someone who's like, I hate God.
Yeah.
It's a totally different thing, because I can go to God frustrated in the situation. God, why? Why did you let this happen? Why? And be authentic and open, because I understand that God is my rock, that he is my deliverer, that he is my fortress, that he is my salvation, that allows me to ask him why. I think it's the openness. The openness in the conversation between me and God happens because of the recognition of who I am in him and who he is. I think someone who says, I hate God, doesn't actually understand who he is.
Yes. You've said it twice now, and I want to bring it up to the surface. And then if you need to address it, please do, because I might be misunderstanding. But those who say they hate God, I do think it's wise to go, well, what do you mean by that? Those who say, man, I'm mad at God. What do you mean by that? But then you've twice now said, God, I don't like this situation. God, I'm frustrated by this situation. And I think that's a completely different thing.
Agreed.
To be like, I hate this situation that I'm in. Then
not him.
But not to direct it at God.
Totally.
So
that's a great point.
Because of your trust in God, you can be frustrated in a situation, but where are you going? I'm asking you specifically.
Yeah.
You're coming to God because you know that he's your rock, like you said, because he's faithful, because he's fair, because he's just. And so as you know him rightly, I'm not saying you won't be frustrated in your circumstances. I'm not even saying that your circumstances won't bust your balls or break your heart or rend you to pieces.
Yeah.
But we have a refuge in God.
Yes.
And if you're viewing God in any way as your enemy rather than your refuge, bare minimum, you have a misunderstanding of God, like you've just said. You don't know him rightly. You don't know him as the rock and those things. Bare minimum, that's what's at case. And then possibly you don't know him.
Yeah.
So you don't know him well.
Which is really your point in Job.
Yes.
Apart from the conversation about the righteousness thing, like the difference in the end when Job goes, what does he say? I've heard of you, but I've never seen you.
Yeah, he goes, I've heard about you with the hearing of the ear, but now I've seen you with the eye. And then he says this, he goes, therefore I repent in dust and ashes. And I love that line. It's used a couple of times in the prophets as well, where people, they come to the place where they repent in dust and ashes because they have been confronted with the glory of God and his character, and then they recognize themselves. And so it seems to me to be minimum a maturation of Job, and then at the biggest part, salvation for Job. That he was a man of noble character. God does say, "Consider my servant Job. There's no one righteous like him in the earth." There's something there, but it's what's super interesting. I can't get into Job right now. I will say this: what's super interesting is Job falls chronologically somewhere between the Tower of Babel, and then Abraham. Okay, so it's post flood, and it's pre Abraham, and then when Job's friends and Job are talking about the ancients who would speak of God and that they would know God, and they're like, "Are you better than the ancients?" So you're thinking back to guys like Enoch, right, who were prophesied, and all these guys. You're thinking back to guys like Noah, who are some of the ancients, and so it's really fascinating when you think about how these men probably thought about God, because what Abraham did and then what Moses did, that hasn't happened yet,
right?
And so there's something that Job knows about God, but there's something that God corrects in Job so that he's able to say, hey,
okay, at the least, you use your word bare minimum. It's a recognition of who God is that he didn't have before.
Right.
So
he's seeing God in his rightful place.
I have never thought about the distinction, which I think is a great point, between being frustrated with God and frustrated with the situation that God's allowed me to be in.
Yeah.
The frustrated with God comes from a misunderstanding of who he is.
Yeah, it has to.
If I actually understand God being God, there is no way in the world I would ever approach him with that kind of arrogance and cockiness.
A verse you like to use all the time from Hebrews 12.
We approach the throne of God with reverence and awe, for our God is that I'm putting this as still is the same consuming fire he's always been.
Right.
To this New Testament.
Yep.
So now we have people who have been brought in to the household. We're his children. We have an inheritance. He is our God. He's our Father.
Yep.
But we still have to approach him as God.
With reverence and all. Recognizing his character,
his
nature.
He's still the same God that killed people in the Old Testament for not worshiping correctly.
So that approach our God with reverence and awe, for our God is a consuming fire, references several Old Testament stories. The most notable one is Nadab and Abihu, who are...
All right,
it's the most notable one, right?
More than Korah?
Here's why I think it's the most notable. Because God burns up Nadab and Abihu for offering profane fire, and then he says, I will be regarded as holy by all who come to me.
That's true.
Okay?
Because they're,
that happens prior to Korah. But there's Korah, and then there's another place in Numbers where it says, and God just burned up the outskirts of the camp because they were rebellious against him. So we see 2, and then we see 250, and then we see a group of people, right? So he keeps expanding that, right? But what's interesting is in Isaiah 33, Isaiah uses kind of the tone of the wicked, and he says, the wicked say, who among us can dwell with the consuming fire? Speaking of God. And then Isaiah answers the question, those who are righteous, those who are upright. It doesn't diminish that God's a consuming fire. It's just that we can dwell with him. And so having that right perspective of God.
It's a recognition of, that's what I mean, is if I actually believed, if I actually viewed God from that perspective, I'm not approaching him that way. I'm mad at you.
Callously or casually?
No.
No way.
No.
You couldn't.
The recognition that this is the God who kills people like that.
And that everything he does is right and fair and just. You wouldn't dare charge him with fault.
Right. Now, it's a great point that there's a distinction, because I think you do see people who recognize that about God, who go, God, why in the world are you letting this happen?
Sure.
And they question his justness. Like, is this are you being just by letting these things happen?
Which could be a thing of immaturity. You just don't know him rightly, or you don't know him.
Or just an authentic reaction to a situation. I actually think that all right, let's go with that for a moment.
Yeah.
Something incredibly tragic happens in my life.
Yeah.
And I feel this emotional turmoil over it. If I have a recognition correctly of who God is and who I am in him, then I'm able to go to God and go, why?
Yeah, for sure.
And authentically say, why?
Yeah.
Because it's not negating who he is or who I am in him.
Yeah.
It's that recognition of who I am in him and who he is that allows me to be open in that.
Yeah.
The difference is asking why is on the basis of who God is.
Yep.
It's not on the basis of me. I think that's the distinction.
Yeah.
If I'm asking why, like Job, I'm actually trying to prove my own righteousness.
Yeah.
If I'm asking why because God is the just, faithful God that I serve, I'm actually asking him, why would you do this?
Genuinely, you're seeking understanding.
Yes.
So
the same way that you would go in a good relationship with your father.
Yeah.
You would go to him and go, why?
Why are you doing this way?
Or why are you letting this happen to me?
Yeah, because we know you're just, we know you're fair, and this, from our perspective, feels out of sorts. It doesn't feel like it matches our perspective of justice, our perspective of righteousness.
It is an authentic relationship.
Absolutely. So you have guys like Jeremiah chapter 12, one of my favorite verses, Jeremiah 12:5. Jeremiah has come to him and he's like, how long are you going to let the wicked do these things? The first 4 verses or so of Jeremiah 12 are Jeremiah's question to God. Jeremiah 12:5, one of my favorite verses since I was like 20. God asks Jeremiah, he goes, if you have raced with men on foot and they have worn you out, why are you trying to run with horses? If you stumble in the plains, why are you running in the thickets? So basically, God answers this question by saying, this is out of your depth, bro.
Yeah.
Like, why are you can't handle the stuff that I have shown you. Why are you asking for these things?
Right.
You have Habakkuk or whatever, who's arguing about the king of Babylon, and he's like casting his net and he's dragging up all the people in his net, and he's wicked, and he's done all this wicked stuff, and he's like, I'm gonna sit back now and see what he will answer me. And then God answers him.
That is so funny to me, because it's like ballsy Habakkuk,
I know,
saying it, and then he's like, okay, now I'm gonna shrink back and see what God says.
I'm gonna wait and see what he says.
Too far?
And then God answers him and says, look, he's doing all these things, but one day I'll do this to him. And then Habakkuk's answer is, look, even if there are no crops in the field, even if there's no animals in the stall, yet my trust will be in the Lord.
Yeah.
It's Ahab in Psalm 73 saying, my feet had almost slipped. I had almost stumbled when I considered the ways of the wicked and how prosperous they were and how their eyes bulge out with fatness and they have everything. And he said, and I thought it does me no good to follow the ways of the Lord. And he goes, and then I remembered their end. And he goes, and then I remembered my end.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Right? And so he talks about, and he says, my heart and my flesh may fail. And this is, I think, paramount to this conversation. My heart and my flesh may fail, but God is the strength of my heart and my portion forever. And so he's acknowledging that he has frailty and that he sees these things and he's like, man, sometimes it just doesn't seem fair to me, but all of my confidence is in the Lord. I've remembered their end, that they get set in slippery places. And he says, but you take me by my right hand and you lead me into glory. And so once he reflects on the end of the story, it pivots how he...
I think that's actually a really good example because it's an acknowledgement of the frailty of us and our tendencies.
Yeah.
And I think you can to use New Testament language, make a correlation here. I might have struggles in this life.
You will.
But yes. So if I will have struggles in this life, when those struggles come, I need to recognize that I have frailty, that my heart may fail. But if my hope rests in the coming of Jesus and his return, that he's coming back for us, then that's where that's what drives me, right? So it's a recognition of our frailty. Because I think sometimes what's hard in this conversation is people, I think, expect guys like us to say, don't struggle.
Oh, yeah, which is stupid.
Like, don't have a hard time through that. And that, not at all what we would say, but I think that's typically how people think. Like, I'm having struggles. I don't want to talk about it because I feel like I'm not matching up to some measure I'm supposed to be measured to.
Yeah.
And I think what people really need to hear is you will have struggles.
Yeah.
There will be hard times in life. The answer isn't...
Well, Jesus said that, right? In this world, you will have troubles, but take heart. I have overcome the world.
I have overcome the world, right? And that seems too simple, Ryan.
Yeah.
But I like how he says it, take heart.
But here's the thing. Imagine how helpless you feel if your confidence isn't in Christ. So again, your whole world is falling apart. And now your plan of attack is to accuse the holy righteous one of wrongdoing. So now you have nothing concrete in your life to hold on to. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And you feel awash in all the turmoil of your emotions and your heartache and your pain and your brokenness. And
how arrogant.
Arrogant, but also incredibly devastating and detrimental.
Absolutely.
Devastating to you as a person because you have nothing to cling to.
Yeah.
And so be broken.
Self-inflicted.
Yeah. Be broken and be crushed and be rent to pieces while clinging to the truth of Christ as though this is your survival, like your life depends on this. And then, like with, what does he say? I don't know. It's like Isaiah, is it 43 when he says, when you pass through the fires, they won't burn you. When you pass through the floods, they won't sweep you away. Like there's this idea of like, you come to Christ, you cling to Jesus, right? And so
he's already overcome the world.
Right. So we hold fast to him. So when the world falls apart and you immediately direct your accusations and your ire, I don't get to use ire very often, but it's a good word. And you get to use your ire, you direct your ire and your frustrations at God. What recourse do you have now? What firm ground do you have? You have nothing.
Well, and I think what's funny about that is that's actually where you're starting.
Yeah.
If you're accusing God, you are the measure of that.
Yeah.
And that's, to your point, that's devastating for you as a person. But then when you push God out, I know you like can't, but like when you push him out, you're still standing on the same like foundationless place you were before.
Right.
So it's like you're slapping the hand that's feeding you.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is arrogance.
It is.
Not many people would recognize that in the moment.
Yeah.
But it's arrogance.
Yeah.
If I actually recognize,
you've set yourself up as God.
Yes.
Because he hasn't done it your way.
Yes.
So he should bow to you.
Right. Yeah, I don't know how I should get around that.
Yeah.
If you actually understand God, which I kind of like bringing Jobe into this actually, because he says, I'd heard about you, but I hadn't seen you yet.
Yeah.
his foundation prior to seeing God revealed for who he actually is was still him.
Yeah, because
he's trying to justify himself.
We don't imagine that he actually saw God in that case. Like, no indication.
I don't think that's the see thing. It's. I mean, God's like tongue in cheek brutal with Job.
I know.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like, hey, Job, did you do these small things? It's like, hey, Job, were you there when I laid the foundations of the world? Were you there when I feed Leviathan? Were you there when, like
my favorite one is in, I think, chapter 40, when he says, he goes, humble the wicked, lay the wicked down in the dust of death. He goes, and then I will admit that your own right hand can save you. He goes, you deal with the wicked, and then I'll admit, your own right hand can save you.
I think another reason I like it is because of God's response.
Yeah.
I think sometimes we think of God as this like AI robot.
Yeah.
And not relational.
Yeah.
No.
How does God respond to Job? In kind.
Yeah. Who is this that darkens my counsel with words without knowledge? Brace yourself like
Job
a man.
Job accuses God, and what does he do? Okay, fine.
Depending on how you count it, because sometimes there'll be 3 questions in one sentence, but depending on how you count it, he asks something between 60 and 115-ish questions to Job, all intended to bring out the answer, no. Job, were you there when I laid the earth's foundations? Job, were you there when I did this? Job, did you walk the recesses of the deep? Job, are you the one that commands the rain? No. Right. Okay. So I am. All right. So then shut up, Job. And like, are you really going to condemn me so that you can be justified?
Yep.
That's
okay. And what's funny is the
consuming fire.
Yes. I was going to say the difference is Job is trying to be self-justified by his own works.
Yeah.
His own quote unquote righteousness.
Yeah.
Someone who I imagine, you don't hear God's response typically in the Psalms.
Yeah.
But I imagine God's response to a psalmist who writes, God, why are you letting the evil prosper, but you are my rock and my fortress, is not, fine, I'm going to blast you.
Right.
But let me encourage you and prop you up in the middle of the chaos.
Yeah.
I think that sometimes it's a great way to say it, Ryan, devastating. It's devastating for us when we approach God with that arrogance, because what we don't gain from it is, how do I say this? I think not gain. I think what we're losing is the foundation to stand on in the midst of the chaos.
Yeah.
The chaos already sucks.
Yeah.
And what we're doing is we're self-inflicting this situation where
making it worse than we have to.
Now, I don't think it means God goes away.
No.
I don't see I don't see any examples of God not responding in the way that he responded to Job.
Sure.
I'm trying to argue with myself right now as I've said that. Like, there's got to be somewhere I can't think of, but I can't think of any.
Okay. So to your point, 1 Kings 17, 18, and 19, Elijah faces off with the false prophets and priests on Mount Carmel, has the 450 priests of Baal killed. He gets threatened by Jezebel. He runs away. He has a meal, gets woken up, fed by an angel, has a meal, goes in that food 40 days, meets with God on the mountain, and God goes, what are you doing here? And he goes, they've killed all your prophets. Yeah, he goes, they've killed all your prophets. I'm the only one left, and they're trying to kill me also. And so then there's the strong wind and the earthquake and the fire, and then there's the voice, the still small voice, which there's debate about that. It's interesting. But he asked him again, what are you doing here? And he says again, I'm the only one left. And it's like, no, you're not. I've reserved 7,000 people who haven't bowed the knee to anyone but me, which is a very, very small group of people. The army of the nation of Israel at that point, 700,000. And so like there's only 1% of the army, like the nation's pagan. And he immediately tells him, go and anoint Jehu, go and anoint Elisha as your successor, and then go and anoint, I forget his name, but it's the king of Bashan or something like that, or the successor to Bashan. He anoints a king for Assyria or something like that. And he says, go and do these things, right? Hazael, that's what it is. Go and anoint Hazael.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah. You were close. And so like he basically tells him, quit pouting and get back to work. You know, why are you here? Like, why are we having this conversation? You know, and it's interesting. Did you know that there are 3 places? That's one of them, but there are 3 places in the Bible where God basically tells him to quit praying to him. So one of them is in Exodus 14, and all the people are grumbling because the Red Sea's in front of them and the army's behind them. And then Moses goes and asks God, and God doesn't go, oh, what's going on? What's happening? He says, I've told you what to do. Get up and lead the people. Like one of them is, what's the other one? I think one of them's Joshua in Acts 7 when they attack Ai. And Achan has already stolen stuff from Jericho, and they're defeated at Ai. And Joshua's praying to God, and he's like, I don't know what happened. And God goes, get up. There's sin in your midst. He's just like, he deals with it, you know? And so
I think what's interesting, like even in the Elijah situation, is he is still going to God.
Yes.
He's not justifying himself. He's whining.
Yeah.
I'm the only one left.
Yep.
But it's still in the context, the perspective that God is God.
Yeah. He's coming to God with the wrong perspective of the circumstances and everything.
The circumstances, not a wrong perspective of God.
But coming to God.
Yes.
And God is adjusting that.
Yes.
And even Job is coming to God. Job just says, I would love to meet with him. I would love to argue my case before him. I would love to speak to him and tell him, show him my righteousness. So God's like, Job even wants to engage God. He's just, in his case, he's got a wrong perspective of God.
I was going to say, I think Elijah was not accusing God.
No.
He was just saying, this is the situation that is. I think there's a difference. Job's
difference in perspective.
Job's accusing God of not treating him fairly.
Right. So Elijah doesn't like his circumstances. Job doesn't like how God did it. And God addresses both of those, to your point, in kind.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know? That's
fair, because Elijah doesn't like his circumstances, but he doesn't like his circumstances because in his mind, he's the only one. You see what I'm saying? He's created this perspective
I'm the
of his
only
own
one
life.
left serving you.
I think that's
pride, arrogance.
I was going to say that's probably typical.
Yeah.
How often do we hear that in conversations with people? Well, nobody likes me. I'm the only one.
Yeah. Well, you don't know what I've been through. Well, you don't know how hard my life was. Well, you don't know, like, we make it all about self.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Here's what I know is that God's way bigger than all that.
Well, and here's the thing. There's not a single person who's going to make it through this world without pain.
Yeah.
You're just not. And we can compare people's pain to other people's pain and say, well, what you went through wasn't as hard as what I went through. And we can do that all day. The reality is everybody's going to experience some sort of pain, some sort of suffering. And if your foundation isn't Christ, it will be costly to you. To whatever degree the suffering was. Suffering without the foundational perspective of Jesus can't be anything but costly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like I've had people apologize to me before and go, well, I didn't have it as bad as you. And my life wasn't as bad as a dozen other people that I know, right? And they apologize to me and they go, well, my life wasn't as bad as you. And I'm like, well, did you feel like your parents loved you? And they're like, no. And I'm like, well, that sucks. We don't have to compare the wounds.
It's still a measure. Like the conversation they're having is still based on a measure.
Yeah.
As if me, who had great parents, godly parents, I should be exponentially better spiritually than you, Ryan.
You should.
Whose parents weren't that good, right? So that's a weird measure.
Yes.
Because it's still based on me and my circumstances.
And how you perceive those circumstances.
Right.
Yeah.
How many people grew up in godly homes that aren't believers or are immature believers?
There's a clip going around of a young woman, not a believer, but it's not a Christian thing, but she was like, how many of you had such narcissistic, self-involved parents that they showed up to every one of your school programs and every one of your school events and sat there and cheered you on, and then sometimes picked you up from school for lunch to take you to your favorite restaurant and made it all about themselves? I'm so sick of parents being like that. And I'm going, what is wrong in your brain? Because most kids
wait. She's being serious?
Oh, dead serious.
I thought it was a joke.
I thought it was tongue in cheek.
No.
That's insane, man.
She's so liberal. She was like, that was all their ego, and so that they could say what good parents they were, and they could be, they could have this record of being good parents. Like, she's pissed.
You know what? I am so sick of those parents who change dirty diapers. Like, what arrogant pricks to think that I needed your help at 1 year old.
But like, the number of people who would be like, I would take those parents.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that show up for me, right? You know, like that. I mean, like you drove a couple of years ago to El Paso, you know, to watch your son play football, and it's like, what is that? A 6.5, 7 hour drive, something like that.
Yeah.
You drove over, you watched football, and
got a hotel room.
Yep, came back.
Ate some really good Mexican food before, went to bed that night, and then drove home the next day. Right? It's a long, boring drive.
Yeah, and because it's your kid,
and expensive.
Yeah, and it's your kid. Like, you know, and so it's just so.
How dare you, man?
How dare I?
You did that for your own ego and your own, you know, stroke your own ego. But the point being, this person's perspective is super weird.
Yeah.
But like,
let me flip the example.
Anybody can be
quick.
a sufferer. Is my point.
Cammy wants to be at those things even more than I do. Like I enjoy being part of my kids.
You said she's more intense than you are.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Here's the difference. If it's a football game or a basketball game, which
her dad's a coach too, so that's different. That's in her blood. Like
it is, and she loves football. But like the difference is she'll yell the entire game. Hold it. He's the whole game. Nobody says anything to her. They're smiling, loving it. Refs will throw flags sometimes after she calls holding. I say one thing and everybody gets quiet around me. Like it's so funny. Like I don't say anything the whole game, and then one time, are you kidding? And then everybody's like,
"Whoa, Micah, settle down."
She's like, she's been screaming the whole game. I haven't said anything to her, but she loves it more than like she wants to be at the sporting events. There is a sense. I'm going to flip this a little bit. Of that we long to be at those things, even Cammy more longing for it more than me, because of the relationship with our kids.
Mm-hmm.
If we hated our kids, we wouldn't want to be at those things.
Right.
It's the relationship that drives the longing to be part of those things.
Right.
I think that's what sometimes people are missing. Like if someone says, I hate God, I'm mad at God, and it's just say hypothetically, I'm confident that they're believers.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to ask them what's wrong in their relationship.
100%.
Like what's missing? Something's
100%.
Missing. You don't approach someone that you have a relationship with in that way. Right?
Whoa. Yeah, right.
Absolutely.
3,000,000%.
Whoa.
What are we doing here?
Insane.
Oh, I was talking about my crypto gains.
There you go. That's
right. No, you're right. Like something's off in the relationship.
Absolutely.
Like, it's this again, a dumb example, but
again,
I play out scenarios in my head, like all sorts of things. So this morning in jiu-jitsu, Stacy tweaked my neck, and like I heard it like crack 5 times.
Oh gosh!
And what's going through my head
all at once, or like 5 different times?
No, it was like you know,
it's like a chiropractor.
It was. I told him thanks for the adjustment. But what's going through my head is a video and an article I saw like 2 months ago of a black belt who broke a white belt's neck, paralyzed him on the mat.
Golly.
Yeah. And so that's going through my head, and I'm in this role, and I'm thinking like, well, if I'm paralyzed, here's what I would do. I'd have him call the hospital, and you know what I mean? Like, call the hospital, don't move me, don't touch me, wait till they get here with the board and the neck brace and all that kind of stuff. And I'm thinking through the scenario, like, if I'm paralyzed from the neck down, and I'm like, I bet I could get somebody to get me one of those vans in the lift so I could still get around in my, you know what I mean?
This is a matter of seconds.
Yeah, I'm just thinking through all of this. But here's the thing. When the paramedics showed up, I wouldn't blame them. But I would be calling them because, hey, I need you to get me safely to the hospital.
Isn't it their fault?
But you know what I'm saying?
They're so narcissistic they would show up to help you at this place. But you don't need their help.
You call the ambulance, you call these people, right, to come and to bring you aid. And I'm not going to blame them when I'm laid up in the hospital bed and having neck surgery and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to be like, you're the people who can help me. And I think what people do, like, it's as ludicrous as it is, you get snake bit like Biz did 2 summers ago, remember? And instead of going, she's like blaming the doctors. No, like she went and saw the doctor. Like we go to God when our world is falling apart.
Yes,
because He's the only one that brings aid.
Yes,
He's the only one that can help. And so like, but what we do is we act like wounded animals.
Yes.
Who, when He's coming in to try to bring aid, we act as though He's the one that harmed us.
That's a great example. Wounded animals.
Yeah.
That's a great example because that's how they respond.
Yeah.
To someone trying to bring them aid, they're gonna.
Yeah.
They're only concerned about them.
Yeah.
in their situation, I get it. It's a defense mechanism.
Sure.
You have no idea. There's no relationship with the person who's coming in to save me.
Yeah, but we have that relationship with God. We should know better.
I'll give you an example that fits your wild animal example, but I think is an example of our relationship with God. I tell this story, I haven't told in a long time, about my good dog, Finley, back in the day.
Oh, man, I remember him.
His leg got stuck in the table one time. We had this metal table that had like a scroll deal at the bottom. And we were playing one day, and his leg got caught in there, and it was between the hook of that scroll was between his two bones in his leg.
Yep.
He starts pulling because it hurts, but as he's pulling, it's pushing that farther into his leg.
Yeah.
And so I get down there, and my first instinct is to move his leg, and when I do, it hurts him. And so he like grabs my arm and bites me, but it's not like he's not biting me like I'm gonna kill you. It's a response to the pain.
Right.
So, but when he realizes he bit me hard, but when he realized it's me, he lets go, right?
Right.
And so what I had to do is I had to like...
It was a good dog.
Such a good dog. I'll never have one like
I'm not a dog person, and Finley was
amazing.
A great dog.
Well, it's because he went disc diving with us too.
Yeah.
It did piss me off when I would come up out of the water and he's checking on me and he's like scratching me in the back. And I'm like, ow, like stop. But what I had to do was hold him down.
Yeah.
And I knew it hurt him, but my goal was to get his leg unstuck. In his mind, he's like, I know we have this relationship. I know your dad. I know that you care for me. Why are you hurting me in this moment? It didn't make sense to him why I was hurting him more, even though I was trying to get him out of the situation.
Sure.
That's it. If it was a wild animal, it would have killed me.
Yeah.
Because there's no relationship.
Right.
The relationship allowed him to bite me.
If it was a strange dog, he probably would have like kept going.
It would have actually like drawn blood, bit like trying to kill me. But my dog is just responding to the pain. I think that's it. It's the relationship that allows us to respond to God. Like, whoa, what's going on?
Yeah.
But it's the moment we recognize that it's our Father.
Yeah.
That it's our God that makes us go, this hurts. I have no, why are you doing this to me? Finley's screaming and barking at me. He doesn't know what's going on.
Right.
But the relationship means that we're able to resolve. Yeah, he's not attacking. And I think it's where I think it's a good example. A wild animal responds because it's only concerned about him, that animal.
Yeah.
Not Finley, because there's a relationship.
Sure.
I think it's a great perspective. Your response, if someone says, I hate God, you're only concerned about you.
Yeah. Yeah.
It might be something where you're asking questions. God, why are you letting this happen?
Well,
where you're whining and moaning and complaining, but it's an expression of the moment, but it's your trust in God that allows you to openly say that, but quickly be moved back to the place where you're like, but God, I know you're mine. And what I don't want people to hear is that we're trying to say like, don't have the emotional response of like, man, but why? God, this hurts.
Yeah.
Explain, like, why?
Go to him with those things.
Yes.
Absolutely.
There was that debatable song, King's Kaleidoscope, back in the day. And I mean, wisdom-wise, maybe not the wisest thing to do, but he drops the F-bomb in the song because he's singing a song about a journal entry he had about some stuff he was going through. It's an open, authentic, and I kind of think it's like the Psalms. It's like, okay, maybe not the wisest thing for a Christian band to put the F word in because then you got the parental advisory on all your CDs and stuff. Like for sales, probably not the best idea. I don't think those guys cared. I think they were just right. But I don't want people to hear us say like you can't have a response to a situation where you're like in your room, like why is this going on? And but if you wallow in that, I'm gonna question your relationship with God. Because where everybody else in the scripture who's gone through way worse than you have, their response, He's my rock and my fortress and my deliverer, my salvation.
Yeah, you have to land there. You have to find him as your refuge, as your safe place.
And isn't anything else a concern from my circumstances more than him?
Well, that's what I was going to say I think for a lot of people, their view of God is shaped by circumstances rather than by his character. So God is good if my life is pleasing to me, and God is bad if my life isn't pleasing to me. So my perspective of God oftentimes for people is based on their circumstances rather than his character.
I think the best example of that in a positive way is Paul, and who's he in jail with? Silas in jail. I think people probably don't think about this, but this isn't jail like you're getting locked up in Tom Green County.
Well, like people say, jail. A cot and three hots in a cot.
Yeah. There's no TV. There's no comfortable. This is probably chained up. As far as I understand, there's a good case to be made that they don't even let you have to go to the bathroom. So they are probably literally sitting in people's pee and waste.
Yeah.
And they're
having been beaten prior to that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not only against this, what do?
Worship.
They sing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy.
And you hear stories about that, even like John Huss, like, you know, it's tradition. So maybe he did or didn't sing as he's being burned at the stake. But you hear these things and you go, that's the response.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That's the response to circumstances when I recognize how good God is.
Yeah.
That he has overcome the world.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. Doesn't mean it doesn't suck. Doesn't mean
Yeah.
I don't feel tension and strain and sadness and pain.
Mm-hmm.
It's when I wallow in that.
Yeah. I think about this is a dumb example. The examples you've given, I've enjoyed the illustrations,
thanks.
the illustrations you made. This is a dumb example, but
Cool.
it's what I think about.
1,000,000%
A
dumb.
1,000,000%, 2 million%, 200
200 million.
200 million%. We're jumping, man. In Lord of the Rings, when Bilbo's first, that Fellowship of the Ring, when Bilbo's first confronted by Gandalf that he has the ring, and they're talking about it, and the tension builds and the tension builds and the tension builds, and then Bilbo just snaps and he was like, "You're trying to steal it. You want it for yourself." And then Gandalf shows some of his power. Yeah. And so like the whole house like sinks and Gandalf gets enormous and he has this deep voice and he goes, "Bilbo Baggins." He's like fully intimidating. "I'm not trying to rob you." And then he softens down and he goes, "I'm trying to help you."
Mm-hmm.
And then Bilbo runs into his arms and he holds him. And I was like,
That's a good one.
there we go. Thanks, man. Tolkien
not
wrote
dumb.
that one and Peter Jackson put it on the screen.
remembered it.
But I remembered it and told you. And so I think about that like,
I don't
last
remember
week.
it.
I thought, do what?
I watched it last week.
What a good movie, man. It's so great.
They had all 3 extended versions on Apple for $15.
Oh, dope,
Nice.
dude. And now you just have them.
I also bought all the Oceans on Apple.
So we need to travel
$15.
and have just nonstop movie
We
days,
have
man. Yeah. So anyway, I
think it's
that-
a good example though.
Yeah, because in that moment, like Gandalf's demanding like reverence and awe in the midst of it, but also showing love and grace and acceptance. And then there's repentance from the stupid question, right? And so there's the response, and then there's an acknowledgement of God's power and love and goodness. And so
It's not dumb because it's obvious that Tolkien had some intention with the ring and showing our selfish desires on our own.
Yeah.
Like everybody's longing for this.
and there's so much of Gandalf being like a Messiah figure within
to some
it.
degree, yeah.
Yeah, not the Messiah
Right.
figure, but in moments.
Yep,
So, yeah.
absolutely. No, I think it's
Yeah.
a great example because Bilbo is saying, I don't want to give the ring up. And you know what? If you're asking, it must be because this is Job.
Don't be a Bilbo.
Don't be a Bilbo.
In that situation, don't be a Bilbo.
Speaking of Job, there was a comedian I heard the other day, and he was talking about reading the Bible for the first time, and he got to the book of Job, and he was like, "Yeah." Then I got to Job, and I realized why no one wants one of those.
That's fantastic.
I like it.
That's fantastic.
Man, you see the guy online, Topher? You ever see him going around? Black dude, pretty strong, goes around in grocery stores and parks. It's like, hey, excuse me. He's like, he goes, I give people $100 if you answer 3 Bible questions.
Oh no, I haven't
seen
seen
those.
this.
And he goes, you mind answering them? And like people are like, he doesn't show, he's not trying to be negative to anybody. So he doesn't show the ones that people are like being jerks or whatever, but because everyone he shows are like, oh yeah, let's do it. And so he'll go and he kind of tailors the question to the age of the person. You can tell a little bit, you know, and how they respond. So some of the harder questions and I keep thinking like, how do I run into this guy? Because every now and then what he'll do is he'll go, I'll give you $100 if you can answer 3 questions. And then for every question after that you get right, I'll give you another $100. And I'm going, oh, dude.
You could rake it in.
I would bank that day. I was like, come on, Topher. You know, but like
You could just invest in crypto.
yeah. But that's not my plan, Micah. No, but
I gotta find this TikToker, man. He's giving away money.
But I like this guy because everywhere he goes, like he doesn't just engage with people, like, but he'll pray with them and he'll talk to them and like finds out about their lives. Like he picks places like he's done it in some like Goodwill type stores or whatever, where he's like, I'm going to buy you everything, you know. And like,
it's helping people. Who
yeah.
Have a need.
And it's just like I don't know, like. I get that this is part of his like social media platform, but I like the idea too of just one of the things that I think I would like to do better is see people in their circumstances. Now he's meeting a financial need, but like see people in their circumstances and then be able to help continue to shape their perspective of God. Like
Yes.
continue to be able to go like, so if they're a little bit like Job in chapter 4, right? If they're a little bit like Asaph at the beginning of Psalm 73, if they're a little bit whiny like Elijah, then what we can do is I can go, okay, but look, remember, remember, like, here's who God is. And like, I don't know. Like, I think when people have this mindset of, like you said it a moment ago, Mike, I don't remember exactly how, but like, if there's a reaction to the pain and you're like, God, why are you like this? And there's not the psalmist type of response, but I know that you're trustworthy, I know that you're good, then there has to be pause. There has to be a question that if you aren't able to have that response of, but I know that God is faithful, I know that he's righteous, I know that he's good, I know that he's king, that he's Lord, and you just stay mad at God day after day after day after day, like,
You don't believe those things about God.
yeah.
No.
There's no
You
middle
can't.
ground. There's no gray area here.
You can't.
If I believe, okay, here's a really dumb example, like 5,000,000%.
What?
5 million.
5,000,100.
That's
So it's just
a
5
lot.
million with a couple zeros.
Quadrillion. Anyways, if I'm trying to think of the most outrageous number thing I can think. If Elon Musk called me tomorrow, I think he's still the richest man in the world. and
Yeah,
said-
by quite a bit right now, I
and
think.
said, hey, dude, if there's ever a deficit, I'm going to fill it in your finances.
Mhm.
Um,
And I would find a lot of deficits all of a sudden.
if I believe that to be true, like
Mhm.
if I believed him,
Yeah.
then I don't ever stress about finances.
Ever.
Ever.
Never worry
If I
about a grocery
believed him.
bill. Never worry about something breaking
Right.
on the car.
If my dad tells me whatever deficit you have, I'll fill financially, I believe he will do it. I'm not 100% sure he's capable of fulfilling all the financial things that could come up,
to a limit.
Mhm.
but I believe Elon Musk could, right?
Mhm.
If I believe that, I don't ever stress about the finances
Mhm.
because I actually believe that Elon has the capacity
Mhm.
to do what he said.
Sure.
That's exactly the same situation. If
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
believe that God is capable
And another good example.
of,
That is a good example.
of being who he says he is,
Mhm.
if I believe that he is that, then it changes how I approach the situations.
Mhm.
If I don't believe that, then I'm gonna say, God, I hate you.
Yeah. And that's the bigger thing in question. That's why I need to be more intentional with asking it. But I remember a few months back just praying over some, maybe not specifically like a I hate God situation, but just praying over, like, I think you had brought up during one episode, Mike, of just like, how can we find, I want to find more like directly confrontational statements or questions, like, why isn't Jesus enough? And the one that really popped in my mind was like, why don't you trust God?
Mm.
So I think it's exactly what you're saying. Like, if you believe that God is, his revelation of himself is true, that he is powerful, that he is just, that he is good, that he is loving, all of these things, that he has the capacity to hold your salvation, to hold your life, and to bless you in the midst of your relationship with him, then why aren't you trusting him? Why don't you trust him? And the bigger issue there is that trust, right?
Yes.
Or that recognition of who God is, or a misunderstanding of your identity. Those are the bigger issues than your emotion in this moment, because the emotion is telling of your distrust in God, or you don't actually believe in who he is.
Or how you respond.
Excuse me, yeah.
I think, how you respond to the situation. Because
Exactly.
I think you can wallow in the emotion. We've had this conversation a lot, but I don't think the initial feeling is like,
Yeah, I misspoke on that.
I do think it could be tempered.
Yeah.
The maybe the amount that it affects you or the amount of time it affects you can be tempered by an understanding of God.
Well, I think we talked about that in here on a previous
we?
podcast. The difference between like my wife nearly stepping on a rattlesnake and Steve Irwin nearly stepping on a
that's
rattlesnake.
right. That's right.
Yeah.
Their response is going to be completely different in that.
Yeah.
That's true.
Right.
They're about the same height though. So
Yeah. So, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
It's both really hard to
He-
get stung by a stingray. It's
his-
super small.
his experience around venomous reptiles and stuff for years and years and years gave him, to your word, Micah, a capacity that allowed him to not be shaken by nearly stepping on a venomous reptile.
I think it's a great example. It's probably the reason that Paul is able to sit in prison and sing, that he's able to float in the ocean for a day and a half and not complain about it. Like it's,
He understands well the God he serves.
there's something different about his understanding than everybody else's.
Yeah. And
Which is-
not because Paul is special, but because Paul has pressed in to know the Lord well. I promise you, Job, after Job 42, is a different man.
100%.
Yeah.
Million.
2 million.
Actually, so I wonder, it's a good point. We don't have different information than Paul has.
No.
We don't have a different God. We don't have a different spirit.
That's a really good point.
So I wonder what it is that keeps us from having that capacity in understanding who God, like, what is it? It's got to be something self, but like, what is the thing that keeps us from that? I think there is a situation where
probably a list.
That's true. I was gonna say, I think there's a situation where someone just doesn't know, right?
Yeah, they don't know.
I'm thinking of
ignorance.
I'm thinking of, all right, let's put Paul knows the scripture way better than we do, us three.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like we know the scripture fairly well.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, let's put me and Ryan down for a moment. Why is it that with that understanding of the scripture and God's faithfulness that we whined and moaned and complained over finances for years and years?
20 years, yeah.
That's what I'm at. That's what I mean. Like, what is that?
Yeah.
What is
big babies?
I mean, that's not different than Elijah in the whining and moaning.
Well, and I told you that sermon I preached 2 years ago, 3 years ago now, kicked my own ass. Mm-hmm. And forever.
Liar. What are you doing?
I'm kicking my ass. Do you mind? Dude, what a good movie. Man.
It's funny. But it forever changed my perspective. There was something that the Spirit did in that moment that forever changed my perspective.
So maybe it is the experience. So like maybe it's one. Maybe this really is a Job says, I have heard about you. Maybe that's that initial knowledge. Maybe it's different. Maybe what was different was when Paul had the experience on the road to Emmaus. Like maybe there is something about an experience like that radically changed those things that he knew about God from being what I know about God to now an experience with God.
Yeah, that is really helpful. For the longest time, I mean, up until probably the last 6 or 7 years, I would say it's things similar and branching away from that branching that same vein of like, I don't believe it's not until like you're broken that you can like truly follow after God. And I would say that for a long time. And then I realized like how like that absolute statement can be really detrimental for a lot of people in their understanding of their salvation. And so I wanted to be more clear with it, but I always had that inkling in the back of my mind of like, but there's something about like just being broken, like whatever that looks like, maybe thrown to your knees, God showing himself in a different way, a point of like, of no return, right? Job's a different man. And so,
what you actually mean is not broken holistically, but you mean broken of yourself.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Like it's
not like I'm broken. Ryan will say sometimes like he does counseling with someone and it's like, he's broken over their situation.
Yeah. I don't mean
that's not what you mean. What you mean is I have this
They're
arrogant
on this
perspective.
Yeah,
I have this arrogant perspective of me, and then God breaks me of that.
Yeah,
I can point to that in my life. Like I can point to certain situations where like there were some big moves. This is what you said earlier. Like I think we have those experiences where God uses a situation or other people to break us of us. Maybe that's the way you need to say it. Not broken, but broken of us.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, that just helped.
Okay.
Clarify that.
Maybe it's not even broken of us. Maybe that's the result. Maybe what the experience is us seeing God.
Yeah. There's something, right? There's some sort of revelation, seeing God rightly.
Heard about you with the ear, but
something,
now I see with the eyes. So I repent in dust.
A moment of clarity that, in essence, breaks you of you, right? Like, yeah, clarity, revelation, whatever.
Yeah, I think you're right, Ryan. There's probably a list of things that lead to that.
Some people, I mean, it's I think of Hebrews 11:24-27, where it says that Moses forsook being called the son of Pharaoh for the sake, or because he considered this, or
I'm preaching that this week,
the passing pleasures of sin as nothing compared to the revelation of Christ,
of greater wealth, or of greater treasure than the wealth of the world, or something.
Yeah, that Christ is greater than the passing pleasure of sin, but still acknowledging that there was a pleasure in sin, and
it's not negating the word. It's funny because the word for wealth there, speaking of the world or treasures, I can't remember which one is in I'm preaching from the ESV, but it is, the word in the Greek is like, not like a little bit, but it's great. It's like great wealth.
Yeah.
So he's recognizing there's a lot to be offered.
Yeah.
And he's saying Jesus is more than that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of those things that, like, I think ignorance is one, like you said a moment ago, just not knowing. It's Paul's prayer, like we talked about last week in Ephesians 1.
Yeah.
I want you to know and understand the
That's
hope
a good
to which you've been
point.
called, the riches to which you've inherited.
Maybe there's some help that we offer each other in praying that specific prayer for other people. Because if he prays it, that their eyes will be open to this reality.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Well, here's the reality. The kingdom of heaven is better than the kingdom of this earth.
Yeah.
And Paul says in Romans 8, the suffering of this present age is nothing compared to the glory that will be brought to us the day Christ is revealed. But most people aren't able to look at their suffering as nothing because they don't have the right perspective of the kingdom.
Yeah.
A right perspective of the kingdom causes the suffering of this age to be nothing. We talked about this a couple of episodes ago, that if I had known when I had the kidney stone that it was going to be gone and the pain would be gone in 45 minutes, I would have had you leave me on the floor of my house, Pierce.
Speaking of Lord of the Rings, something in your body was like, you shall not pass.
But knowing that whatever suffering I endure on this earth is just 70 or 80 years in the light of eternity, you're like, that's...
You know what I think is going to happen? Because Ryan says that so often. He's going to be 110 before.
That's right. Yeah.
God's going to be like, you said 70 or 80. Watch me.
I'm just quoting the psalmist. Psalm 90:10. Man's days be 70 years, 80 if they be days of strength. I've quoted that before in a Bible study on a Wednesday night.
Wait, where is that?
Psalm 90:10. And I quoted that on a Wednesday night like 2 years ago. And Hal Reese now he regularly gives me updates. He goes, man, I've only got 8 years left. So,
That's great.
Psalm 90:10.
What was the Moses text y'all referenced a second ago?
Be more specific.
Hebrews 11.
Thank you.
24 through 27.
Yeah. The other night at high school community group, we're kind of rolling through this portion in Galatians, and I had read a section, and then everybody was kind of contributing to. We were talking about identity, and then someone goes, "What word?" And that's the only question they said. And I said, "What do you mean what word?" And she said, "What word?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" And she goes, "That you said." And I said, "I've said a lot of words in the past like 20 minutes." It's like, "What do you mean?" And then somebody, her sister, interpreted for her, "Hey, we're looking for these types of words." Like, so for
nice.
her, she was like, "What word?"
That's funny.
That's how I felt asking that question about Moses.
What
Simpler
verse?
view would be, all right, let me give you a couple. Simple view is Christians don't hate God.
Yeah.
True.
I'm still going to say no.
Yeah,
in
agreed.
answer to that question. Simple viewpoint would be a correct perspective. Seeing God correctly produces confidence through life circumstances.
Seeing God correctly produces confidence in life circumstances. I like that. That is simple. Take that to the bank.
That might be like the most
Confidence
concise.
You
Get it a
you nailed it, man.
Confidence in spite of life circumstances?
No, I think it's in this because you don't change the circumstances, but in the middle of the circumstances, a correct,
Yeah, gotcha.
seeing God correctly
I'm with
gives you confidence in the midst of the circumstances.
Gotcha.
You're not shaky because of the circumstance. I like that. I need to start writing.
Yeah, because we
down.
wouldn't say like Paul sings when he's not in prison.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
Sorry, we wouldn't say that Paul doesn't sing when he's not in
Right.
prison.
I know what you meant. I was with
Sorry.
you. But then you said shaky, and it made me think of Shakey's Pizza
And that
and
sounds
some Rojos.
pretty nice. Let's go
Speaking of
there.
only living 80 years,
Right?
that's a heart attack.
I would always play. I'd always go play the Terminator 2 game, and someone because it had a full machine gun for the controller.
That's awesome.
And they had a stool in front of it. So I was a short little kid, and so I'd run up and jump on the stool, and someone's selling one of those on Facebook Marketplace now, and I was like, "Oh, let's get it." To be really dumb to have around my little children.
I had the Centipede arcade game for years.
Yeah, but that's not them blasting apart bodies on them with a machine gun.
That's
Have you
true.
not
I guess
seen
you
how
are blasting apart the
centipedes. Yeah, it's a little different though.
It
I'm
is,
with you.
yeah.
There's a property in Dove Creek I can afford that has 2 shops, one big one, and that's like I think about that all
Make
the
an
time.
arcade.
Make an
Like what would I
arcade.
do in there? Yeah, like that.
Dude, it'd be so sick.
It's funny. I have 2 financial goals in life.
Yeah.
Well, 3 technically. 2 main ones. One is that's weird. That trash can just moved. The lid of that trash can moved.
There's a raccoon in there.
I mean, something's in there.
I don't want to.
I'll look in a second.
It's
Anyways,
spooky.
first one is have a place where all my family, including my grandkids, can come, where we could all be together, and that they want to come. And the second is a dope porch for Cammie with a good view where she can drink coffee.
Heck yeah.
The third one is leave an inheritance to my children's children.
Yeah. Proverbs.
But that one's like whatever.
Yeah.
But the other two are my only goals. But
I told you guys about. Go ahead. I told you guys about Riker wanting a go-kart.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how like a go-kart track on his house.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
And then he was like, he goes, that's silly. He goes, I'll grow up one day and not want that. I was like, no.
You should grow up and want that.
Yeah, like still want that.
Yes.
Because I want to come over and do that.
I don't know if that ever changes. Like I still feel that like a dreaming like I'm a little kid.
Oh.
Yeah.
I look at this property all the time on realtor.com and I'm like, all right, I'd put a golf green right there. I'd put a disc golf course here. I'd have this in the shop. Anyways.
We watched Swiss Family Robinson probably once a year growing up. And like,
how do you not dream?
Have like a big tree house like that, you know? And like, I was like,
you live in the wrong part of the country for that.
I know. I know.
You're like, hey, the biggest tree I could find puts me 10 feet off the ground.
The tiger is still eating me.
Oh man. Well, hey, thank you guys for listening and watching.
Sorry for all of our sweat stains.
Sorry for all of our sweat and having to fan ourselves. But yeah, let us know your thoughts on this episode. It's one of those things. I feel like the way that Christianity is often taught doesn't give freedom to feel the emotion and then trains you how to react to the emotion. I feel like most people feel guilty for the emotion and then it creates guilt and shame and conviction. And then all these other, or they believe a lie of the emotion or whatever it might be. And they go a whole nother direction instead of having an understanding first and foremost of who they are in Christ, of who God is, of his power, and then coming to him rightly in the midst of those situations. Right. So we'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on what that transformation looks like for you. The difficulties of what that's looked like. So reach out to us, tag down below. You're going to see our social media pages on Facebook and on Instagram, as well as our personal pages. Those are great places to get in contact with us if you have any questions. There's loads of resources down there as well. We upload the sermons every week to the 456 website. That link is down below. Check out the 456 YouTube. We've got other resources on there. Simpler Bible has resources. Check out Eagles Wings Disc Golf Ministry, as well as Micah's ministry page tagged down below. There's loads of ways you can get involved, get plugged in, and resources you can use for the sake of your growth and the resources you can bring back to us with questions, right? So we love you guys. We're thankful for you. We're thankful for Steven. He's the bomb here at the Garden Audio. And as always, keep Christ as core. What could be simpler than that? We'll catch y'all next week. Bye.